Welcome to Play Paul's Turn. In this podcast, we discuss all things to do with TV, films, games and literature. We give our thoughts on the media we've been enjoying, old or new, and comment on anything topical. Our hosts today are Alex, Bobby and myself, John. And as usual, we're going to drop this one on them, both of them fairly rapidly. Our intro question, our quick icebreaker. If you were a games console, what would you be, chaps? And we'll start with Alex, go alphabetically.
Okay, it's a really good question. Now, initially you said, tell me about your new console, but I want to put a retro console in place. I would be an Atari Jaguar.
Ooh.
Which I have put in the
yes, we saw that
chat for those that can see it. And the reason is because at the time that we were on Sega Mega Drive and the SNES. They were building They literally built a 64-bit console. This was way before the N64 or anything like that.
Yeah.
And sort of technically, it was just really impressive what they did. And then the only issue that they had was they just got some indie games devs on board, like Jeff Minter, who made some amazing games.
He still is making them.
Yeah, but they weren't mainstream enough, and so they just, in the competition between Sony and NES, they just couldn't compete. And sometimes I feel like I'm like that. I'm kind of ahead of the game, but I can't always compete with what the cool kids are doing, like TikTok and stuff like that. So that's how I describe it.
Jeff Minter. I think the most recent thing I bought on PSVR was a Jeff Minter game.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a remake of one of his games in VR.
Oh, wow.
I had to stop playing it because it was sending me absolutely insane. But, yeah. He did Tempest as well, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Yeah. How about you, Bobby? What console, old or new, would you be? And if you want to tell us what console Bailey would be as well, that'd be even better.
That's not Bailey, that's Emily.
Oh, right.
She's taken over... Emily, can you stop doing that, please? Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
I'd like to just remind people, if you're a first-time listener, that Emily is not Bobby's wife.
No, she thinks she is.
Sorry, Bobby, back to you.
This is my cabochon. What game console would be any gaming headset that John Evans uses? Because then I could get that sexy voice direct injection into my brain.
So you'd be a peripheral, would you?
Yeah. I was going to say Neo Geo to sound really cool, but I can't actually remember what the Neo Geo was. So I think it would have to be the original Game Boy, because it was the first handheld console that really captured the imagination. It had some of the most addictive games ever on it. Tetris, Super Mario Brothers. And it was the kind of device that kids just took everywhere with them. I remember my friends that had them at school. I had to borrow my best friend's because my parents just couldn't afford to get me one. Thank you. That's what a Neo Geo is. It's like a massive arcade thing that you used to play in the chip shop.
I'm sure it's a handheld as well, isn't it?
Japan.
Yeah, there was a handheld version. Yeah, that's what I was kind of going for, because it was like, if you had one of your smart-ass friends at school that had, the Sega one, what was that called? Oh, God, it had
Saturn?
Ninja Gaiden on it.
The SNES?
The Saturn?
Saturn. Was it the Saturn? Sega Saturn?
Whatever the handheld Sega was. And then obviously there was...
No, that was the Game Gear.
That was the Game
Gear.
Gear.
Game Gear, yeah, that's it. Because I remember the big game on that was Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
We're going off piste here. But
That's
anyway,
all right.
the point about the Game Boy, so my friends all had them. I had to borrow my best friends because my parents couldn't afford to get me any of these things. I had to make do with my Amstrad 1512.
Was that like a desktop PC, was it almost?
Yeah, it was no, sorry, Sinclair Spectrum, that's the one. I had the Spectrum 128K.
Oh, now we're going back, aren't we? With a rainbow, the rainbow sticker on the side, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the big thing that they bought for me, and then I had that for years and years, and my
Yeah.
friends would just take the Michael out of me because, I couldn't play all the cool games that they were. But my friend did let me borrow his Game Boy, and I just think I would like to be a Game Boy because then I wouldn't be alone because my owner would just take me with them wherever they went.
Oh. Yes, I've just shown you a picture of the Neo Geo Pocket, and I think I remember some kids at school having that. We had a lot of Japanese kids who boarded at my school, at my posh school that I went to, that taught me how to have a sexy voice. And I remember them just having some amazing games I'd never seen before. I'm powering through, by the way, here. As for me, I was going to say the Game Boy, and I remember spending an entire summer packing fruit to save up for my Game Boy. I went and bought it from Woolworths. And I loved it. I had a game. I did have Tetris on it, but I also had a game that was like a sort of a bit like Jetpack, but not quite. We were sort of flying around on a jetpack through levels and things. I wish I knew what it was. But I think if I was any console, I would like to be and still be the PS Vita, the OLED version. It's up with the modern tech still. I think it's still comparable with some devices now. In terms, the screen looks as good as the new OLED Switch. And the games you play on it still hold together really well, but it is starting to age a little bit and show its age, much like me. So I'm up with the tech still, but still starting to show my age. And I have some very, very fond memories of the Vita. I think I played more handheld games on that than any other device. And I'm still playing Metal Gear Solid on it again.
I remember my Vita. Tomb Raider was available for that, or was it Uncharted?
Yeah, well, Uncharted
Maybe
was Uncharted
both,
Golden Abyss, wasn't it? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah. But I loved that little thing.
It's great. I mean, the controls were a bit fiddly sometimes, but you got used to it.
Yeah, they were. It's just that it coincided with me getting engaged and then being told to grow up. and I also had a PS2 or PS3, whatever it was at the same time, and I had an Xbox 360. Or whatever the version of the Xbox was around that sort of time as well.
The Xbox,
and I
think, wasn't it?
I had Guitar Hero, and my whole life outside of work was basically gaming. So, yeah, I had to give something up, and unfortunately, it was the Vita that went. So
I had a PSP as well, which is another lovely device. So that was quite a long intro. But obviously, hopefully now, if you're listening, you've got an idea of what we're talking about today. We're actually going to be talking about what we've been gaming recently. We thought we'd have a bit of a break from films, and there's been some new games coming out recently, and we've all been purchasing new devices recently as well. So let's go through some of the games we've been playing initially, and we'll keep it alphabetical. So, Alex, what have you been playing recently?
Good question. I've actually been going back through because I got a PlayStation 5 before Christmas.
Wow, well done.
And so I've been going through and playing the things that I couldn't play, because I never had the PS4. I just went to Team Green fully when the Xbox One came out, and I kind of refused to buy it. I was just like, no, I'm not going to buy a PS4 because despite the fact that I really wanted to play Uncharted 4, but I couldn't. I kind of waited. And then played it on the PS5, which was very good, and also played the follow-on. I think it's called
Lost Legacy.
Yeah, it's been re-released this week.
Yeah, so I played both of those, and then I really got involved into Horizon Zero Dawn, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, so that's the thing. So I got through playing those, and they've only just released a PS5. Like enhanced edition, so I'm in two minds whether to just. I have bought it because it's only a tenner if you've already got the existing one, and actually money wise that's fine. But Sony tends to have a habit of charging for these versions, whereas Xbox tends to just say, "Look, it's an upgrade. That's it. You get it for free."
It seems pretty kind of. It depends on the developer, doesn't it? Really, like the Final Fantasy VII remake was a free upgrade, I think. I think I've just got it. I've been starting playing that as well, actually.
Yeah, well, we can probably talk about that a bit because the cross-platform strategy for Sony is a bit dubious, and has had quite a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Particularly with Forbidden West, because people were like, well, wait a minute, I can't get hold of PS5, and yet you're saying that you're going to charge me for a PS5 version. And they kind of backpedaled and said, no, it's a launch title for you, so we'll make it free. But I think the way that they'll differentiate it is at some point they'll have to stop doing PS4 versions, which is going to really hit them. So I don't know how that's going to work. But anyway, going off on a tangent for their business model. But anyway, so I've been playing quite a bit of that, and really that's kind of Horizon Zero Dawn ate up a good amount of time over the Christmas period. So I managed to pretty much complete it. Then I started on the Frozen Wilds, which is the DLC for it, which is really hard. It's kind of, the game itself was hard, and then I managed to get the enhanced armor, and so I was like, great, okay, I'm doing okay. And then the Wilds is even harder. So yeah, it was a challenge for sure. Anyway, so that's what I've been playing on my PS5. But aside from that, I'm not really interested in any more PS5 games. So I've kind of been going back to my Xbox and playing Guardians of the Galaxy, which is very good. That's available on PS5 as well, I think. And I've been playing Forza 5 as well.
Sorry, Alex, Guardians of the Galaxy is not on Game Pass, is it?
No, it's not. It's paid. So, yeah.
Do you think it will come to Game Pass since Marvel Avengers has?
In time, but probably 6 to 12 months' time.
Oh, that's good.
There's no urgency for them to bring it to Game Pass, because there's already plenty of Game Pass games anyway. So, and that's one of the weird things about Game Pass, is that sometimes they just go, now we'll pass on this, we've got plenty, come back to us in 6 months, when you've already done your sales. It's
no longer a cash cow, and they need the extra sort of bump of cash, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. But Guardians is really good, and actually I had like the choice of Avengers or Guardians, and I was just like, I'm going to skip Avengers completely, I'm just going to start playing Guardians, despite paying for it. So so I'm really happy with the game. It's a really good game, but I've kind of got 3/4 of the way through it, and I just haven't completed it yet.
Awesome.
The music's awesome.
I will play that at some point. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's very good. So I've been flitting between PlayStation and Xbox, so that's it's kind of put me in a 2 console place instead of a 3 console place. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
Sure. How about you, Bobby? What have you been playing? I mean, apart from FIFA, obviously.
FIFA Ultimate Team. They kind of changed it up a little bit this year, so the qualification to go through divisions is different, and it's frustrating but addictive at the same time. I hate that game. It's like there must be some counselling I can go to.
Is there a hook there that's keeping you playing? What's the hook that keeps you playing with FIFA?
Well, I mean, Ultimate Team, the basic premise, to explain it to someone who hasn't played it before, is that you only play online.
Yeah. And
you complete challenges, or for winning a certain number of games every week, or getting promoted to the next division, you then earn packs. You know, like the Panini sticker packs that we used to get when we were kids?
Yeah.
And in those packs, you've got player cards. It's very, very hard to pack the best players like Ronaldo, Messi, and so on. But then they have sort of puzzles that you can trade cards in. And by trading in cards and laying them out in a certain way to create certain connections between players in the squad or whatever, when you complete that challenge, you then earn more packs, basically. Or if you're... I can't swear, but but some people pay to win, so they will spend a lot of money. There are stories of FIFA gamers out there that within literally days of a new FIFA coming out, they'll have spent £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 buying packs just to try and pack the best players and build the best squad in as quick a time as possible, so they can start trashing everybody else in the game. EA's come under quite a lot of flack for this. I mean, most famously when they had the loot box system in Battlefront 2. But anyway, so that's that basically. And then just when I think, oh, you know what, I'm going to give this a break for a couple of weeks, a new challenge will come in, and I might have the chance to earn Dennis Bergkamp's icon card or something like that. And I'm like, oh my god, I want him in my squad. So anyway, so yeah, FIFA. But I did get an Xbox Series X about 6 or 7 weeks ago, I think.
Ooh.
So I am now.
I got it before Christmas.
Yeah, I'm Team Blue and Team Green. I got it before Christmas. That's right, Alex. So yeah, so I think all three of us are now 1 foot in each camp, aren't we?
Yeah.
So
We've got to work out what games we're playing across like both of those.
yeah, well, we definitely got to try and do something. So Forza 5 was the first thing that I downloaded and played on that.
Same here.
I'm signed up to Xbox Game Pass, which is so much better than I remember it being. There are so many great games on there. Because I bought Mortal Kombat 11 for the PS5, but it's available on Game Pass. So I'm in this weird two-console state where I've got games that I've paid for that are shrink-wrapped sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But I've not bothered installing them on the PS5. I've installed them on the Xbox Series X because I get them as part of my subscription. So yeah, and I think I will keep. So anyway, sorry. Stick to the question. And then the other thing that I've been playing. So I've had an Apple One subscription for quite some time, which includes Apple Arcade. And I've never used Apple Arcade before because I think the games are for children. But I have started to download some of the kind of, like the wordy type games. And I also started playing Sudoku on my iPhone in Apple Arcade for the first time in my life. I couldn't understand what the rage was about that, but now I get it. So that's what I play when I'm on a tube or bus or whatever. I get my little Sudoku out on my iPhone. So I'm starting to kind of get back into mobile phone gaming again, which is pretty cool. But sadly, that's it.
Yes, that's enough though, isn't it, in our busy lives?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have been making an effort to try and play more games because I've been kind of not doing that and doing other things. And the trouble is when you get to a certain stage in life, your free time becomes so precious. You almost get paralysed by what you want to do and make it worthwhile. I do feel like I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty Vanguard. Over Christmas, I joined. This sounds terrible, but I joined a clan because most of the people I know who are like you say to me, "Oh, games for kids." So I don't tend to have people. Any of my immediate colleagues will want to join me online. So I don't know how I discovered it. I think it was on Twitter or somewhere. I discovered this clan called the OAPs, Old Age PlayStationers. And they're a very lovely bunch of older people, male and female, who play regularly at the weekends, mainly Call of Duty. And I dip in and dip out. And I think Call of Duty Vanguard has been my FIFA, really. I've played more of that than anything. And again, for the main reason that I got the Battle Pass, and just like your FIFA games, you have to play a certain amount before a certain amount of time. And if you do that, then you can get the next Battle Pass for free. So it's this kind of loop that hooks you in the whole time. And I've enjoyed it just to kick back and chat to people, and also discovered that I've become as good as a 12-year-old, which is quite impressive. You hit that kind of intuitive lock on of being good for a while. So I kind of play that as a chill out therapy, mindless gaming. And I did buy the new Battlefield game over Christmas as well. And it's been quite disappointing. It's been quite disappointing to play compared to earlier Battlefields. And it's kind of sitting there unplayed at the moment. I'm hoping eventually when the game gets updated and is playable that I'll jump back in again. There's no scoreboard. They're going to be adding a leaderboard in March, apparently. And a lot of the maps they do not look next gen. So that's been a bit of a disappointment. And I'm still waiting for the next gen version of Cyberpunk to be updated, and so I can play that as well. I've still got that knocking about somewhere. I've on the Xbox, I've been playing Marvel Avengers, which is on Game Pass, and the Marvel Avengers got a lot of flack for its live service aspect. It was very unappealing to a lot of people. It's a bit like Destiny. It's very similar to Destiny, where you have to, you level up and you have kind of like whatever attachments you have to your body, bracelets for certain characters or gloves or whatever. They add the power level to your body, just like Destiny. And the problem with that is superheroes are they're the elite heroes, aren't they? If you're the Hulk, you're as strong as anything. So why do you then need to keep leveling up? And also, in a lot of matches, you have 4 or 5 Hulks playing at the same time, which kind of removes that excitement of being the superhero. So all I've been doing really, since it's on Game Pass, and I haven't really paid for it, is playing the single player, which is from the point of view of Kamala Khan, who is Ms. Marvel. And I've read all the Ms. Marvel comics, and I love her storyline. And they don't really use much from the comics, apart from her father. But she's a really cool character. And it kind of turns the game into a platformer as well as combat, with her big bouncy arms that sort of extend, and you can use them like lassos and things as well. It looks amazing. I imagine, I don't know, is it from the same studio as Guardians of the Galaxy? I presume it must be.
No,
is it Square Enix?
Square Enix.
No, they're different.
Yeah.
The thing is that the other one was Crystal Dynamics, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they basically, I think it may use a similar engine, but it's completely differently made.
Because in review-wise, Avengers got trashed and had a lot of problems, whereas Guardians of the Galaxy has had such rave reviews.
Yeah.
I haven't got it because, again, I spent money on Avengers, then got an Xbox Series X about a week later, and it's available on Game Pass. I did start playing it on the PS5.
I've been really enjoying the single player, Bobby. I think I'm not going to get involved in the live service part. I'm just going to play the single player and then put it to bed.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I started playing this single player campaign. I got stuck on the Hawkeye bit on his training
I haven't got that
bit,
far yet. I haven't got that
and
far
then I got
yet.
really fed up, so I then started playing FIFA again.
I want to mention Forza because obviously I've got to about level 65 in Forza, and I've just been enjoying all the new cars, and it's just there's the new Gran Turismo coming out on PlayStation 5 very soon. I have no interest in playing that at all, and I've played all the other Gran Turismos because I know how good Forza is, and I think I prefer the arcade experience. There's a certain amount of tweaking in Forza, but I just love the open road and the silliness of it and the beauty of it, and it's brilliant. And it's just for me, it's the perfect racing game. I want to mention Unpacking, which I bought on the Switch, which was a game that kind of an indie game of a developer that I've actually been following for a long time. The previous game was Assault Android Cactus, which they're an Australian development team called Witchbeam. I actually met them and played their first game with them at EGX a few years ago in London, and they're both really nice chaps. So Unpacking is an excellent kind of cozy, chilled out game about unpacking a house and learning about who you are and the story just by unpacking items. And it sounds really dull, but it's not. It's kind of a fun, satisfying game, and I think that's on Game Pass on the Xbox as well. So
is it?
It is.
Ooh.
So you can play it on the Xbox. It's not a long game. It'll take you 4 hours to complete, but it was just lovely and so cleverly made. And apparently they had to record 15,000 different Foley effects for all the sound effects, because everything you pick up and put down makes exactly the correct sound on whatever surface you put it down. If that makes sense.
Oh wow,
it's really clever. I like you, Alex. I've been going through some of my older games I've never actually started playing. So I've started Katana Zero on the Switch, and that's excellent. It's I think it's a Devolver game, and it reminds me of Hotline Miami, but it's more of it's not top down. It's a platformer with a sword fighting guy, but it's got a very similar story of, you don't know who you are, and drugs and gangsters and things, with really good humour. Not one for the kids, that. And finally, I have started playing today. The release day is today as of recording. Oli Oli World on the Switch as well. And I played all the Oli Oli games. It's another developer I met actually at a game show and chatted to, and they're a couple of guys who were basically skaters that wanted to make a skating game. And Oli Oli World is, again, it's a perfect game. I can't fault it, really. It's beautiful. It's a platformer skateboarder, but it's like Tony Hawk, but you're platforming along kind of a left to right of the screen. But what they've added to this game, it looks better. There's more depth to it because it's more sort of 2.5D. You've got a customization screen now. You can dress up in some crazy outfits. It really does scratch that sort of skateboarding itch, but it's simple and deep at the same time. And I spent an hour on one level this afternoon. I even drove home from work for an hour to play it in one of my breaks. It's the game that gives me sweaty feet in bed. You know, when you sit on your console for too long and your feet start sweating. It's that game, I've got to stop now. So I can't recommend it enough. I've played, 2 or 3 hours of it, and I'm completely smitten. I'm looking forward to taking that with me on the go. Anyway, let's look at these consoles. We were going to mention this later on, so let's mention them now. We've all got an Xbox, a PS5, and Alex and I have a Switch. How are we feeling about these devices? 6 to 12 weeks in of buying them, Alex.
So I'm really happy with the Series X. I'm like really happy. It's exactly met what I expected it would be, and obviously I could play all of my Xbox games. So for that it worked really nicely. Yes, there's been a shortage of new games to an extent, but honestly I've not felt deprived that much. I think it's been okay. So I think in that respect, it's done really well, and it hasn't really struggled with anything. The Series X is basically silent, and which is astounding. And when you have the PS5 next to it, and then the PS5 turns on and goes, and then it calms down after a little bit. But it's like old and new, and the Xbox is the new one, even though they're the same gen. So yeah, I don't know how they do it, but it's just silent constantly. So I'm very impressed by it. And yeah, it just meets exactly what my needs are. I think the only reason why I ordered the PS5 was there were certain first party games on Sony which I couldn't get and I really wanted, which is a bit, bit selfish and spoiled, but that was the reasons why I bought the PS5. So in that respect it's been all right, but the only thing is I'm finding myself going back to games that I've played before, now that they're being restored into improved and upgraded for next gen graphics. And that's interesting because I never really thought about replaying games before, so it's kind of encouraged me to come back to things. So for me that's kind of how it's been. The downside of that is that now I have a PS5 and an Xbox, I just don't have time for a Switch. It's partly that I'm not going out at all, and the other part of it is I was really disappointed with the Mario real world racing game, the one where you get the little controller.
Oh, and you see there's a camera on the actual car and you can see your carpet.
And the concept of that is amazing, and only Nintendo does stuff like that. So on paper this sounds awesome, but in practice, when you put this into an English home that has carpet and rugs and things like that in the way and tables and stuff, you end up realizing, and it doesn't go round, the reception's not good enough to go through walls, obviously. So you end up in this odd situation where you go, I should be enjoying this, but I'm actually just getting frustrated. So I did my time with Switch and played like Odyssey, for example, and played Breath of the Wild, but there's nothing drawing me back, and that's the bit that it's a bit of a shame really, but it's partly because I'm just not commuting, so I just don't have a mobile need to game. Like I used to.
I mean, that's the problem when COVID kicked in. You bought it for travelling, hadn't you? And then you didn't really need it.
Yeah, exactly. I bought it for commuting. What I found was that in reality, I was using my phone a lot more than I was using it anyway. And yes, it was good occasionally for the commute into London and out of London, but I was using it because I felt like I had to.
Sure.
And like Breath of the Wild, for example, that was great. But I also found it quite hard and I didn't really gel with it as much as I did with other RPGs, which it's a bit strange, but I just didn't find it as good as perhaps I should have felt it was. So there really isn't much keeping me with the Switch anymore, so I'm looking at getting rid of it.
Oh, that's a shame. I'm sorry that you don't want to keep it. I mean, obviously, it's your choice, and time is always an issue as well. How about you, Bobby? How are you feeling about the Xbox and PS5? You don't have a Switch, do you?
No.
No.
My friends' kids have Switches, and I've tried to play with them, and I can't stand the Switch. I don't know if it's my hands are too big or they make those things too small, but I find it a bit ageist that they've made it with tiny buttons for tiny people, and they've excluded the rest of us, normal-sized humans. But yeah, I do like my PS5. I've got the thing about the Xbox Series X. The reason I got one of my best friends is an Xbox gamer. He will never touch a PS whatever PlayStation, and he's been after an Xbox Series X for ages because he's still got my old Xbox One. And so on a whim, I just said, "Oh, I wonder if Currys have got any in stock." So I went online on my phone, and it was a Saturday, and Currys were like, "Yeah, add to basket for delivery tomorrow by 1 p.m." And I was like, "Okay." So I did it, and I bought one. And then I rang him, and I said, "If you're quick, you might be able to get one from Currys, but mine's turning up tomorrow." I'm so evil. I should have just got it for him. But anyway.
Oh, mate.
And then it turned up, and I was like, you know what? I'm never going to play that thing. I'm just going to stick it on top of the cupboard, and, at some point, maybe next Christmas, I'll set it up. But within 5 minutes, temptation got the better of me, and I very quickly set it up behind the TV and switched it on, and it was deadly quiet. The PlayStation is actually very quiet, but when it does start up, there is that giveaway sound. So my other half does know when I've switched the console on. She's like, "Oh, bedtime now. Oh yeah, I'll be up in a minute. I'll just clear up and everything." And then all of a sudden the PS5 goes on. She's like, "I know you're gaming." I was like, "Yeah, see you at 2 a.m. But the Xbox is different. It's hidden behind the TV. I switch it on with the controller. It's totally quiet. And for that, I love it. So I think if you put a gun to my head and you said, "You've got to let one of them go," I think I would actually keep the Xbox, which is quite shocking for me. The other thing as well about the Xbox is it's been a long time since I've had a Microsoft controller in my hands, and I actually prefer the Xbox controller to the PlayStation controller. It feels much better built. My PlayStation 5 controller, I do worry that I've broken it. I don't think it's as responsive as the Xbox controller either. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I know people have their preferences between Xbox and PlayStation controllers, but I think I definitely prefer the Xbox controller.
You can connect your USB-C cable to your PS5 controller, and you get less lag if you're really serious about lag and all the rest.
Yeah,
there is that option to pass through digital to the controller, which you could do with the PS4 as well. I think they updated the PS4, the PS4 Pro. No, that's interesting.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm enjoying them. I do need to work out what's on Game Pass versus what's not. So yeah, I did think, actually it did cross my mind if I had to get rid of one of them that I would put the PS5 up for sale, but I won't. I think I just like having the luxury of having both there at my disposal. And there are some interesting games coming out for the PS5 as well that I'm really looking forward to. And also, I'm really, really curious about PSVR 2.
Oh, we'll come to that. We'll come to that.
And it's VR that the other one doesn't have. So I think I'm really happy. I'm happy with both of them. I'm really happy to have both a Microsoft and a Sony console in the house again and have the best of both worlds. So I thoroughly recommend it to anyone who just likes buying gadgets unnecessarily like I do.
I think I'm with you, Bobby. I think I'd struggle to give one away. Someone I listened to another podcast, and they had a really nice phrase about the difference between Sony and Microsoft, and that is that Sony is cinema and Microsoft is Netflix. And I think because we're going to be talking about what games we're looking forward to in our next section, but I think the reason I really like the PS5 is because of the exclusive games, and because I feel like Sony's a little bit more selective in which studios it either associates with or buys. And I still think that Sony has the system seller games. And I would really, really struggle if I didn't have a PS5. Because, as you say, I think the Xbox is an amazing option. And I think really it's a no-brainer, especially if you're new to gaming or you're a parent buying a console for a child. I think paying whatever it is, £29 a month, £28 a month for the console and all those games is such a no-brainer. I pay that for my daughter's mobile phone. So I think Microsoft have really sorted their service out. They've really sorted their offering, and the fact that they make, as you say, Alex, the games backwards compatible with no cost, and even this the frame rate upscaling they're doing now as well. It's just so impressive. And actually,
they've done a lot of work with that.
Yeah, and also in terms of archives and historically keeping games going, Xbox doing a much better job of, if you want to go back and play the original Halo, you can, or even original Xbox 360 games. Whereas, Sony had this big issue where they were going to be taking all their PS3 and PSP games off the store eventually. I actually spent a couple of days downloading all of my purchased PS3 and PSP and Vita games onto my PS3, and that's now a hard drive storing them all in there if I want to play them again in the future. And I wonder if perhaps they're going to, they're trying to compete with Xbox's Game Pass. There's rumors of it now, aren't there? That they'll bring all those games back to their version of Game Pass, but we have to watch this space. I agree with you. I think the Xbox setup is so much simpler. It is actually a nice looking console as well. I think the PS5, I have mine behind the TV for a reason, so I don't have to look at it. And even though they have recently brought out some rather lovely new cases for it, I think it doesn't offend me in any way. But it's not something I'd sit and look at. Whereas the Xbox Series X, it's just futuristic looking and elegant and kind of brutalist at the same time. And I like that look. But really, one thing that's different to both of you is I really, really love my OLED Switch. And I think that's because a lot of the time I just can't get to my consoles or my TV. We are a busy household and we have one screen. And I know that if the screen's being used, I can go and hide somewhere in the house and use my Switch. And the fact it's got a much better kickstand, I can sit down and lay it on the table somewhere and play it. It makes me very happy. And I've got a whole bunch of games on there I haven't played yet as well. So, I will be doing some travelling. I'm taking a group of kids skiing in about 6 weeks. That'll be going with me for the bus journey. For me, a lot of holidays abroad with my family. I'll take it with me. I think I'll have lots of opportunities to keep playing it. And I think Nintendo, their skill, and I'm not sure what the analogy is for them if Sony is cinema and Xbox is Netflix. I don't know. Maybe they're like, I don't know, CBBC. I don't know. But I think there's a long time that Nintendo are going to be just pushing out excellence with the Switch. And we have 3 in the house now, so it makes sort of multiplayer gaming quite good fun with the kids as well. My only gripe with Nintendo is its system of game ownership and DRMs. If you want to play games as a family, you have to buy the game for each device, and you can buy one game, for instance. And if I'm not playing it, my daughter can play it, and if she's not playing it, my son can play it, but not all at the same time. Which is a bit annoying when you pay £30 a year for the online service with them as well. But that's Nintendo for you, isn't it? They're very protective of their big mountain-sized pile of money. Anyway, Bobby
They'll
mentioned.
They'll find ways of getting more money from you as well. Won't
Yeah,
they?
always, yeah. Bobby mentioned the PSVR 2. We're going to have a quick chat about future gaming tech. Now, my PSVR, which I played lots with, one of the rubber band straps inside has now snapped. It's been used; it's worn out basically. So I am very keen to see what this looks like. Are you thinking of buying, any of you? Are you tempted? Because you've not used VR before on a console, have you, Alex?
No, I had a Galaxy Gear,
Oh yeah,
which I used to have with the
Samsung phone.
Samsung phone that
Yeah.
I used to have. So I saw the promise of it, but not really the quality of it yet. So I had a bit of a play with that, but apart from that, I'd be tempted to get the VR2, but I'm just not sure how much I'm going to play it. So yeah, I don't know. Is a short answer.
Well, I
But
mean, Bobby, have you got a PSVR? You haven't you?
I do, but it's been packed away since I got rid of my PS4 Pro and got the PS5.
Yeah.
And I just can't be bothered to get it out and connect it up again.
I mean, mine's permanently connected to mine because I bought the adapter. You know, you sent off for the adapter, the free adapter, so you can play it on the PS5.
Yeah.
And I have played lots of it, but and you can still play it with the broken strap. It's just not quite as firm on the head. Like you though, my main gripe is just pulling all the cables out and everything else, and making sure that the wands are charged because the time between charges is so long. But when you actually want to sit down and do it, you have to then plan ahead. But the thing with the PSVR 2 is it's going to be a single cable, and it'll have pass through, so you don't have to worry about. I think pass through was brought in for a second version of PSVR on the old PS4 Pro. I've got the original one, and I have to unplug my HDMI lead from a TV, plug it into the add-on box, then pull the cables out, make sure the wands are charged, get it fitted on my head, clean the goggles from the steaming up, get myself in the right position because you have to face the camera. And these are all issues you just won't have with the new one because there's no camera needed. It's all done much like the Meta Quest, as it's now called, all internally. The gyros and the controllers look a lot better as well. I presume they'll be USB-C charging. They look much like the Vive controllers, don't they? Really. I'm very tempted, but my only concern is the cost. I think they're going to be hideously expensive. They're saying, aren't they, that there's going to have 2 4K screens inside.
Yeah, I mean that sounds really impressive.
Yeah.
Quality-wise, it's going to be really good. It's just that it's the cost that's a bit of a concern because it's quite an expensive addition to your PS5 that's already expensive.
Yeah,
so,
and I think I'm thinking my ballpark figure is £480.
Wow.
Which is how much the original PS3 cost, isn't it? I think when it first came out.
I don't know if I want one that much.
That's quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Problem for me is that if I so where are we now? We're in February. So by September I've got a choice to make as to whether I continue playing FIFA full stop
forever.
Or if I get it on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Because my brother has it on the Xbox, he doesn't really play it on his. He's got both. He's got everything. I mean, he's got a massive gaming rig with that £1,600 AMD Razer, whatever that famous card was that was getting lifted off trucks, Fast and Furious style.
The 3080 is that the title?
Whatever it is, whatever the best gaming card is for a rig, he's got it. But it may be that I end up buying FIFA on the Xbox, which then will leave my PS5 completely redundant. So, I've not looked at any of the rumoured specs for PSVR 2, but it's something I would be tempted by just to experience what it would be like VR in 4K. I think the other reason why I've not bothered connecting up my PSVR to my PS5 is that graphically the PS5 is so amazing.
Yeah.
And the VR games aren't, obviously. So it's kind of like a kind of mismatch for me. So I think if it came in around the £400 to £500 mark, I would probably end up getting one. I think it would be the same situation as with the PS5. I didn't want a PS5. I was perfectly, I wasn't going to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
We all know the story. Everybody was moaning that they couldn't get them, I absentmindedly, while feeding the dogs, went on my phone on John Lewis's app and actually managed to find one.
This seems
Had
a
it
weird
delivered
pattern
the
you
next
have, isn't
day.
it, Bobby?
I get lucky with
Very
these
lucky.
things. So what I'll probably, when the PSVR 2 gets announced and on launch day, I'll probably end up getting one, and then I'll just give it a go.
Let me give you some specs, Bobby. See if this tempts you. See if you're tempted by this. So it's going to feature 4K resolution per eye, 2000 by 2040 per eye. Each of those, basically, that then sets that upon an OLED HDR panel. So you're going to get refresh rates between 90 and 120 hertz. Now, 120 hertz is what some new TVs can do, and the PS5 can support that. It also has what's called eye tracking built in. And I think the way that works is you'll be able to control some games by looking at certain things. So if you look at a sign on a wall, or if you look at a person in the game, they'll start talking to you.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Which is pretty cool.
And what's the rumored price?
I'll come to that. It's going to have haptic feedback in the actual helmet as well.
Okay, I'm gonna get one. How much is it?
Well, they reckon. I mean, they reckon about £300.
4K in each eyeball. Give me some of that.
I was going to say the Quest 2 is £300. It starts off at.
Yeah.
And that's your competition.
Well, I think it's more like 400. I think it'll be more like £400. I think because of the chip shortage and everything else, I think it'll be about £400. The original PlayStation VR was 300. I think it'll be a bit more expensive because, as you say, because of the. However, what will help is the tech is now established, and the pipeline of production is established from the PSVR. So some of those things that were paying back for the research, the first one, they don't have to worry about that. So you might find £350. They can't make it too expensive, otherwise no one will buy them, will they, really? Yeah. I'm very tempted, I have to say, because I really love my PSVR, and I mean, playing the most recent Star Wars game, the dogfighting game, was excellent in VR. So
I'll tell you what, John.
Yep.
If you get one, I'll get one.
All right. Watch this space.
Do you know what? I'm just tempted to go for the Oculus.
The Meta Quest.
Because the thing is, I'm just thinking like you're quite restricted with the PSVR though, aren't you? Because you can only use it for Sony games.
Yeah.
So which would be great, and they'll offer you quite a lot to choose from, but that's as far as it will go.
The only thing is, I've had a go on the Oculus Quest. My cousin has, and it's really good. I played the old Beat Saber game, which is brilliant because you look ridiculous. So it's fun for everyone in the house. Yeah. It is really good, but it still has its limitations in terms of the quality. And I think you can plug it into a computer and use it via a computer as well. So it works with a gaming rig. The thing is, if you've got the power of the PS5, 4K screens on both screens with 120 hertz, you're going to get, Bobby, the same quality graphics on this as you would on your TV screen. Mm-hmm. And then if you get games, if you look at some of the newer PS5 games, and I think there's going to be an add-on game for the PSVR to do with Horizon Forbidden West, isn't there, Alex?
Yeah, there is. Call of the Mountain.
Excuse me. So I think, if the VR is approaching more photorealism, I mean, that is going to be amazing. And a lot of PSVR games, if you look down, you just see floating hands because it just can't cope processing speed. But I think you're going to get much more immersion, and I think that, with the public consensus on the metaverse and so on, I think it would have traction. But as you say, Bobby, it's a matter of how easy is it going to get hold of these? Are they going to be as rare as PS5s, and the cost really, and of course, me having to deal with my wife. And her anger for buying another expensive gadget.
It's like when your wife walks in on you and you're playing on a console, you've got a controller in your hand and you're looking at the television. You can kind of just about get away with having a conversation that you're still not listening to what she's saying to you, but you can sort of nod and grunt and whatever.
Yeah.
When you've got the headset on, you haven't got a bloody clue what's going on. Once she threw a remote control at my head. And she said, "What the hell are you doing? You look like an idiot. Get that thing off." And I was like, "I'm playing a game." And she's like, "No, you're not. You're just sitting there with a stupid headset on. What are you looking at in there?" And I tried to stick it on her head, and it all just went wrong. Anyway, so that's one of the drawbacks to
Yeah, you do look
the whole
ridiculous.
VR thing. But I will get one. I've
Um,
decided now. I'm getting one.
we'll see, shall we? But we'll see what happens.
Just
The other
more
thing,
than anything, just to rub it in everybody else's faces, because I'll get one and nobody else will be able to get hold of them.
it's the whole one-upmanship,
there we
I
isn't it?
am the one.
Just like those people spending £6,000 on FIFA cards.
I don't do that.
One other thing both Alex and I are looking forward to. We've already bought one actually. Is the Playdate.
Yes.
Now we've no idea when it's coming out. It could be any minute now. It could be another 6 months, couldn't it, Alex?
I'd be surprised to see it any time before Easter.
You reckon?
In fact, probably June.
I'm very excited because they within the last couple of weeks, Panic Games, isn't it, that make this? They the people who made Firewatch, who went from developing games to making a console, they have released their online coding service called Pulp, where you can make your own games for this. Now I know, most people just want to play games, but I think this is fascinating that you can literally go into a browser, code your own game, and add it to your own console. And it's a bit like a kind of a merge of Dreams and Scratch and everything else, but on a handheld. I think it's really, really interesting.
I think it's going to have a whole range of like indie games that are going to come out for it.
Do you know what we're talking about here, Bobby? The Playdate.
I remember you guys, swapping pictures of it when you were pre-ordering them or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of looked into it and then I was like, not interested.
I've got a bit of a handheld habit. I've got a lot of handheld devices in my house. I love them so much, and this looks just to me like such a breath of fresh air from the other devices. This hand crank on the side as well. And I think it's going to be one of those things I can put in my pocket for the bus stop or whatever. I don't really play any games on my phone, and I tend to take my Switch with me only on pre-planned journeys. So this might be something I can carry around for the odd sort of random game. And I think Jeff Minter is coding for this as well, Alex.
Oh,
I think he's getting involved with this as well. It's right up his alley, isn't it? But
it just looks like they've basically gone. It's just the fun.
Yeah.
With the fun bit is all we're doing. We're taking away all of the specs, all of the things. It's black and white. Just get to the crux of what the game is, and there you go. We can offer you.
It's almost taking Nintendo's concept to the extreme, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, except I can't imagine this being like. I can't imagine this one having loads of platformers, for example. No. I can imagine that it's not trying to be mainstream. So I think you're going to get some really interesting games that come out that use it in different ways. And yes, it's got a crank, but some games won't use that. But I think the reality is you're just going to distill to sort of some really fun moments in a package that works perfectly with, those little moments that you have, of downtime between stuff. So I think it'll work. I'm more worried that I won't use my mobile gaming at all now. I'll end up using this instead. But it's not bad, is it?
I mean, they're packaging it with later on down the line, Bobby, some accessories where you snap this to the front of like this sort of old radio set that you put it on the front and it becomes like a sort of desktop, like a clock, and a pen pot. You can put your pens in the back as well. And you can buy official Playdate pens to go with it. I mean, it's that kind of silliness and quirkiness I like about it. And as you say, Alex, I think the hand crank forces some developers to make some really quirky, interesting games. And they've just found this edge that no one else has got, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, really good. It's going to be a bit of fresh air after a somewhat bland year. I think we could do with something a bit different. Yeah. So I'm in two minds. I'm still in two minds about the Steam Deck.
Have you seen how big it is though?
Yeah, it's massive. I probably won't buy it, but it's really one of those things that it's like, yeah, I really do want this iPad sized device to game on. Maybe I don't.
I did actually buy it. I did actually pre-order a Steam Deck.
Yeah, me too.
But I
think all you're doing is pre-ordering a line in the queue.
Yeah.
That they haven't released to anyone yet. But the review, initially the hardware reviews are really impressive. I saw Linus did a review of the hardware, and he basically said, as a piece of kit, this is really good. As a PC gaming, mobile game, portable gaming console, this is really good.
Well, I saw Shuya Yoshida, the guy from PlayStation, was playing God of War on it. I thought that was quite impressive.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're using the RDNA 2 graphics, which obviously has been built for the PlayStation and Xbox, and so they're using this is one of the first times that they're being used. And what you're seeing is that it's a lot more powerful than people gave it credit for, and it kind of gives the Apple's A15 a run for its money, which is good because previously you only had Apple was the only one that was really pushing things graphically
on mobile devices.
That's it, and then it's only Apple's world, so it's Apple's rules, Apple's world with that. So this is really good. Interestingly, RDNA graphics is coming out on some mobiles this year as well. So the Exynos chip that's in the flagship Samsungs will also include RDNA graphics. Whether that will really make a difference on a mobile gaming environment, I'm not sure, because I can see that making a big difference when it comes to PC titles, but mobile titles, unless you're playing Fortnite on your phone and you must have the greatest spec device for it or something, I just don't think you're going to get the real benefit of it.
Surely streaming games, though, it makes more sense on mobile devices. I mean, xCloud. I mean, I am quite tempted to get a Backbone for my iPhone and just use that as a sort of streaming device for my Xbox. I know people use it
while
that
you're
way.
in the house. That works. That should work pretty well. It's definitely worth giving that a go.
Well, I'm discovering more and more pockets of 5G around where I live now as well. My local cinema has 5G, and I tend to sit and watch Netflix before the film with my headphones in, rather than have to sit and watch the adverts.
Right, cool.
Which is quite good fun because it's just, 5G there is amazing, and I would imagine I'd get the same experience if I, playing an Xbox game on my phone. I should test it out really, but it's getting the controller. Walking into cinema with a phone and a paired PlayStation controller is a bit weird, really, when you go to see a film. Bobby, is there anything you're looking forward to in terms of future gaming tech, or any sort of? In terms of discussion points, what are your thoughts for the future of the Xbox now they bought all these studios? I don't want to go into it too much. I think a lot of people have talked about it a lot, but are you excited about that? Is there anything that you're looking forward to in that respect?
To be honest, there's been so much news recently, and I've just been so busy. I've not really been keeping up with what's going on. But in terms of what I'm looking forward to, the moment a new Star Wars game drops, and there's also there's a new Batman-based Gotham Knights, I think it is, which I'm really, really looking forward to as well. I'm just going to make a note to myself to download Arkham Asylum and all those, that Batman trilogy of games.
That's coming to Switch apparently as well.
Yeah, I want to play those again. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that and that. And also, going back to VR, I wonder if they're going to take the whole what they did with Vader Eternal, and just move it up a whole level when they introduced the PSVR 2, because a proper Jedi fighting Star Wars game in 4K VR would be absolutely incredible.
It would.
And obviously Fallen Order 2 as well, even though I still haven't got past the first level of Fallen Order 1.
Such a good game.
Oh no.
It's such a good game.
Stick it on story mode, Bobby.
Yeah, make it nice and easy. Just enjoy it. You're right.
It is really good. There's no shame in that, honest.
No. And I think that's a great feature that games have these days, actually. Alex, what are you looking forward to in terms of games coming up?
So the obvious one is Horizon Forbidden West, which is it was a surprise hit when it was released for PlayStation in 2017, because it came out just about the same time as Breath of the Wild. And actually, for a studio that hadn't done an RPG before, I think they did quite a
Guerrilla,
solid
it's Guerrilla
one.
Games, isn't it?
Guerrilla
Yeah.
Games, yeah. They did a really solid entry, and it wasn't perfect by any means, but it's just the world that they created, this post-apocalyptic world, and the character of Aloy, and there was just so much depth there, and the
Story's
quality of
excellent,
acting.
isn't it, as well?
Yeah, so and I'm getting a bit hyped about it at the moment. So we've only got like less than 2 weeks.
10 days,
Actually,
isn't it?
It's 10 days. I've booked the day off, which is I've not done that before for a game. I've done it for movies, but not for a game. But yeah, so I put the day off, and I'm just like, do you know what? The kids can go to school, and other half can go to school, and I will just sit and play that for.
Well, for me, it's
good...
half term, Bobby. Alex, so I'll be able to play it as well.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's nice. So I'm really looking forward to that, and it's meant to be bigger. It's meant to be a lot richer. There's new machines to play against. It still looks like it's going to be quite hard, so I may be playing this one on easy. But honestly, I think it's going to be really good, and you know they've got some amazing talent on it. So they've got Carrie-Anne Moss has got
she's Tilda, isn't
part
she?
in it.
Yeah.
She's Tilda, which is an unknown character. They don't explain it, which tells you that it's obviously going to be quite important.
Bobby, have you played this game yet? Have you played for Horizon?
No.
Okay.
I watched I've watched it. I've watched other people playing it,
Sure.
but yeah, I haven't played it. I'm sure it's amazing, but I just lose interest so quickly when I can't kill things or do things or I get stuck on something.
Do you know, it is. I like if I'm not sure about something, I just like I'm used to slashing it a bit to pieces, and you can't really do that. You can do it a bit.
Tactical, and you got to shoot certain.
But you have to be.
pieces.
It's all about distance,
Yeah.
and you know you try and do that to this massive machine, and you're just going to die. Which is why I went and got the upgraded armor and spent a little bit of time getting that a little bit earlier than I should have got it, because it's that you normally get it right at the end of the game. So I managed to find a workaround to get it early in the game so that I could just then once
you
I've
made
done
your own
that,
story mode, didn't you, basically, Alex?
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like that. Maybe I should have just stuck it on story, and probably I would have been a better player. But anyway, so so I'm really looking forward to that. And then the other part of it, there's a few things that are coming out later in the year, which we'll talk about in the future. But the one that I'm interested in that's coming out soon is Cyberpunk is getting its next gen. And I literally have played about an hour of it on the Xbox Series X.
Do you own it?
Yeah, I do own it, so I'll get this upgrade when it comes out. But I played about an hour of it, and then I was like, do you know what? There was such bad press about this, and it looks glitchy, and do you know what? I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until it's done, until it's finished, and they've done it properly. And then I just never went back to it. And then they said, oh yeah, we're working on the next gen version. And I was like, do you know what? I'll let you go away and work on that, because there's not really a lot of point in me playing the Xbox One version, and then later, once I've completed it, you go, hey, I've got a brand new version for you. It's going to be a bit disappointing. So I've got high hopes on that. But the thing is, it's like I think everyone's expectations have been broken by the release. So I'm not sure that it's going to get the interest that perhaps it deserves, because I do think that it's a good game. I just think you need to look at it with a fresh pair of eyes. So hopefully people that had a bad experience will come back to it with a fresh pair of eyes and just say, right, I'm going to start again and let me see how it goes.
See, I played about 30 hours in, but I played a bit I played a bit like you played Horizon. So I've been spending my time leveling up Jay, the character.
Uh-huh.
So I haven't really hit the main story arc. I've literally just been leveling and grinding. And I really, really enjoyed what I played. It was just really, it's right up my alley, Cyberpunk. It's, it's exactly the sort of genre I love. And I think the fact that you can go back and play two other different characters and have a different entry into the game means I think it will be replayable. But I will wait till the PS5 upgrade. It's sitting in a hard drive attached to the PS5, waiting for me to transfer it back to the main drive. But
it's not long away.
Yeah,
it will probably. They said Q1.
Yeah,
I think it'll probably be here by Easter. That's not bad.
No, it's not,
really.
no.
I mean, they've gone quiet on it, which I that's normally bad, but actually they've been quiet for the last 6 months. So actually, I think probably they're polishing it.
Now here's
and
a question,
they're seeing it like a full. They're probably seeing it like a full relaunch, because they know that they can. They're on PlayStation Store now, and actually they've got something brand new to talk about. So that will be good.
Do you think they'll add it to Game Pass? I don't know if they will, because there's none of the Witcher games. I mean, I know there's none of the Witcher games on Game Pass, are they? And maybe CD Projekt Red are keeping them close to the heart, but it might be quite a cool little sweetener. And if that happens, it means Bobby can play it on the upgraded version for free after refunding it. So that would be quite a nice end to that story, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, that's a nice idea. Probably in time, I think it will be, but I'm not sure it will be on launch. I could imagine it going on Game Pass by Christmas.
Yeah. Any other games you're looking forward to, Alex?
So Outer Worlds 2 should be out probably early 2023, so it's probably quite a way away. But I just love the environment and what they did with Obsidian with that, which was good.
Yeah.
There's another one which is a Star Trek game called Resurgence, which looks interesting.
What sort of game is it though? What style game is it?
It's sort of a character-driven point-and-click game, from what I can tell. And do you know, I haven't really played any Star Trek games for quite a long time, so that might be an interesting one. While we wait for the Knights of the Old Republic or Fallen Order, you know, I can go back to Trek.
So last game I played was Star Trek Bridge Crew, the VR game, which was utterly hilarious and brilliant. Was it? Because you had to play. You could only play with 3 other real people as, members of your the deck, and you could swap between roles, and it was hilarious going on missions. Most of the time, I played late in the evening when drunk Scottish people would play, and they were hilarious. Yeah, cool. I am with you. I'm looking forward to Forbidden West. Now, you have been sending me. Here's how you can get the game much cheaper by buying the PS4 version and waiting for the free upgrade and so on and so on. I have a digital only PS5, so I can't go in buy the disc version.
Oh, okay.
And
gotcha.
I think I bit the bullet, because I mean I think if I remember rightly, I bought the deluxe version of the first one as well. But I've gone for the deluxe version. I've treated myself. I don't always buy these versions, but I have for this because I know, just like you, how much I love the first game. I platinumed it. I played every corner of it. So I am very much looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the next God of War game. Have you played any of those games, Bobby? The God of War games. I mean, no. The last game was amazing. I mean, it was a stunning game, and actually a great story. And you can see kind of the evolution of developers now. We're getting to that stage now where all the developers are all dads with kids. So you're seeing a lot of grizzled old dad stories with their sons growing up in them. I recently saw a trailer for the new Ghostwire Tokyo game, which again is the same sort of, it's scratching my cyberpunk itch again. Alan Wake I played on the original Xbox, I think the 360, and that's an amazing game. Have you ever played that?
I've not played it.
It's a Remedy game, isn't it, Alan Wake? If you
it.
get a chance to play, because it's on Game Pass still, and I think they re-released it, the original one, like an HD version of it. It's really worth playing. The mechanic is you have a torch, and you're a horror story writer, and you end up entering your own story, essentially, where you're going back to where you live, and the story you wrote starts happening for real. But the mechanic is that your torch, creatures can live outside the light of the torch. Wherever you point your torch, you're safe. And it's a very creepy game, but a brilliant game, and I'm looking forward to Alan Wake 2. And obviously, very, very finally, on what I'm looking forward to is, and I've played this about 9 times on PC and tablet, and you can get it on the Switch now, is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. The remake, if it's as good as the remake of Final Fantasy, I think that's going to sell like gang beast. It's going to be an amazing game, but I can't see it being out for a long time yet.
No, 2023 at the earliest.
But that's going to be amazing. And if they update the mechanics to make it more combat-y like Final Fantasy, because the original game is very much turn-based, and you queue up your moves. If they can make that more combat-y like the new version of Final Fantasy VII, it's going to be amazing. Any other thoughts, chaps, before we sign off for the day for the podcast?
I just want Sony to make those stupid stick things you have to hold when you play VR. With
the
balls
ones.
on top.
Yeah,
I think
ones.
They should team up with the people that do the Black Series lightsabers and dark sabers.
Yeah,
and they should make handheld controllers, but replicas of Anakin and Darth Vader and all of those things. That would be so cool, wouldn't it?
It would be brilliant. I mean, it'd be brilliant.
A whole series of 4K, 120 hertz virtual reality Star Wars games. I think that would be, yeah. I mean,
if they could make a PSVR 2 headset that was basically Vader's mask, so when you put it on, you had the mask of Vader on whilst you're playing, then Caroline wouldn't say you look stupid. She'd say you look cool whilst you play it. You see.
They could do a whole range of them. Like, I would totally get an X-wing pilot's.
Yeah, or a Wookiee, or a Wookiee's head or something, couldn't you?
Boba
Fett's helmet. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to Disney soon, so I'll see what I can bring back for you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay, let's do some housekeeping. You can find all of us repeating all this nonsense on Twitter. Bobby, you're at...
It's Bobby Revilla.
And Alex, you're at...
Alex Hansford.
And I'm at John PR Evans. And you can find Play Pause Turn at Play Pause Turn, as well as going to our website if you fancy listening via the streaming on the web, which is playpauseturn.show. This has been Play Pause Turn, and thank you for listening.